Thanks for tuning into Slice of Sci-Fi. I'm Noah Richmond,
And I'm Lewis Howley.
and we are discussing Furiosa, the Mad Max prequel film. This was sort of George Miller. I don't know if he's wrapping up Mad Max at this point. I think the director's in his 80s, so you'd think he might be, um, but yeah, the sort of putting a capstone on the story that began with Mad Max Fury Road, uh, exploring the character originally played by Charlize Theron in Fury Road, and giving more of a backstory to her, how she got to where she was, um, what makes her Furiosa as we have encountered her in the Mad Max movie. So, um, Lewis, do you want to get started on any thoughts that you have going in?
Yeah, one of the thoughts that occurred to me was how much this is the hero's journey in the film, because it is Furiosa going from a young child to the person who will become Charlize Theron. And so it's no spoiler to say that she lives, in this movie. But what struck me about it was that there's not much character development per se, and not much dialogue. It's all kind of pompous shouting at each other when they do talk, and confrontational kinds of things. And on the flip side, that means we don't have tedious exposition, which I like. But what struck me about it was it seemed to me, especially the way that Miller subdivided the movie into numbered sections with a title associated with each section, that it was like reading the film version of like the Odyssey and the Iliad, where you have again the hero's journey, and in all of those, although in the Iliad there's lots of heroes, but uh, basically the movie is a series of action set pieces. You kind of race from one to another, and they're fabulously done. There's no doubt they're compelling, but it's not like much else is happening. You know, and even as Furiosa goes through her various stages, I don't feel like she really developed as a character that we understood, other than wanting to get revenge on people who wronged her and killed her mom. Oh, is that a spoiler? Oh well.
Yeah, I had recently read George Miller, the director, was interviewed when he was making the previous film, Mad Max Fury Road, and he described that the film he was looking to make as something that they could watch in Japan without the subtitles. um, and so certainly Fury Road was just nonstop. I remember the first time I watched it, I was a little taken aback because, of course, the Mad Max films are, very over the top action films, but somehow there seemed like a little more room to breathe and story development in the middle of it all. Whereas Fury Road really was just, unrelenting. And I thought that one thing I kind of liked about Furiosa is it played a good middle ground of actually giving some room for the story to breathe, while at the same time having those kind of, as you said, fabulously done action sequences. So I did appreciate that they didn't just do Fury Road all over again, but they did find a way to fill in some backstory while also keeping it as Mad Max and putting in some of that Fury Road action that has captivated so much of the world.
I found the tone to be quite dark in this movie. Um, there are several gruesome scenes, and I don't know how else to describe them. And while this is an inhospitable landscape, and people have been reduced perhaps to their primal levels, still, um, I found it a little bit gruesome. And I also found that poor Furiosa goes from like one hellish scenario to another. And I thought, oh my gosh, how much more of this do we have to take? Because she never seems to get into a position where it somehow doesn't devolve into something worse. And then she has to come out of that too. And and even the ending, I mean, with Dementis is um, a little bit dark too, a little protracted. But, you know, again, it's not like you come out of this movie thinking, feeling super positive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, it's sobering. Um, Even with all the great action sequences, and really the beauty of the film process. I mean, the cinematography is fabulous, and uh, and the stunt work, you know, top notch. But you know, I don't know that I would give anybody an Academy Award for acting in this movie.
Mhm. Well, I certainly don't know that it's any darker than any other Mad Max film. Certainly don't know that it's darker than Fury Road, other than this is the prequel that shows Furiosa winding up where she is when we meet her in in the next film. So Fury Road ultimately is the story of Mad Max coming around to finding his redemption after the tortured past and storyline we see him, having gone through in the um, in the previous Mad Max, at least certainly the original. So this one, I guess, in that respect, it would have to be darker. If
I would agree with you on that point. And I was going to say that when I came out of Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, there it ends with the kids or the adults recounting for their children how Max came and rescued them, essentially, and helped them to lead the lives they're leading now. And he's become a legend. And I thought it was very inspiring, actually. I thought, wow, that's a wonderful conclusion to all of this. But you're right, I probably am a little harsh in judging how dark this film is, considering it is a prequel to what is also a dark movie, Mad Max Fury Road, in many ways. But again, the action is just so good that, um, and I think I noticed too in the theater that once again everyone was riveted to that screen. You
yeah,
know, I didn't see anybody get up, you know, despite the length of the movie, to do anything. And in the silent parts, you know, they were all just staring at the screen. So I think
yeah,
it's very compelling.
yeah. So for myself, the main things that my main complaints, I did think 2.5 hours was a bit excessive. I just tend to find movies these days, big budget, popular films generally tend to be a little bit longer than I think they often need to be. And the other thing was you had this whole storyline with Furiosa and Dementis, the Chris Hemsworth character, and you saw where that was building and where that was going. I would have preferred a climax with that story that was either maybe just a little more typical, um, or somehow more satisfying. I thought the way they ended that storyline was just, to me, it didn't entirely work. I just found it, it was like we just went through 2.5 hours of this whole drama, and this is what this weird thing is that it leads up to. Like, it didn't really entirely work for me. And so that was my main detractor, is I was really did kind of get invested in this whole warlike action drama, but what a strange thing for it to build up to. So I had that. The other thing was, I did find it a little off-putting that this is a prequel, and I think it really sets up everything right up to Fury Road pretty well. But then as the credits roll, it starts showing you Fury Road. Like, it starts showing you clips from Fury Road. And to me, I'm watching this like, well, this is something I would want to give somebody who hadn't seen Fury Road yet, so they could start here and then go from this into what happens next. And I don't like that they start just giving away stuff that happens in the next movie, which I guess gets to the other thing that was a complaint of mine. I really felt that they did a disservice with the trailer for this movie, because I think they put way too much of the highlights of the film into the trailer. Because this is one of those films where I'm watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this from the trailer. Oh yeah, I remember that. Like they just gave too much away in terms of, um the big one-liners, the zingers, and whatnot. Um, I'm not happy with how they handled the marketing. But the film itself, definitely overall worked for me quite well. I really got invested in this Furiosa character, how clever she was, how quick on her feet. As you said, how she really embodies the hero of the hero's journey story, and then how extremely well done the action sequences are, and that sense of nonstop, just setting you up, and just going and going and going. So overall, I did find it, yeah, pretty fantastic.
Yes, even with my criticisms, I think that, and I wonder too. I had seen Miller's film 3,000 Years of Longing, and I really liked that movie. And it was much different in style, of course, because it wasn't an action movie per se. And and I don't know if I was had expectations that affected my viewing. I knew this would be a prequel. I knew obviously she had to live. I was also surprised, but I thought when they were showing the clips from Fury Road at the start of the end credits, I thought, what if you watch this and you'd never seen Fury Road? You wouldn't even know what these scenes were. I mean, they're just random shots from that movie, well chosen ones, I'll say. But and then I recall how disappointed the audience's members were. And I'll just say this flat out: there's no reason to stay to the end of the credits, unless you really want to know what's going on. There's no magical end credit sequence, so spare yourself that if you don't want to do it. But um, I was a little put off too by the ending with Dementis and Furiosa, in the sense that I felt it devolved into a choose your own adventure, which I did not really care
Mm.
for. And, again, I would have preferred something more definitive, less protracted, uh, and I think some editing would have helped the movie a lot. But still, it's a fantastic trip into that storyline, fits the saga, And I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was a good Furiosa.
All right. Okay, so with all of that said, what kind of a rating would you give this film?
Well, I would give it a 3.5 because I
Mm,
had some qualms, but it's certainly way above average and well worth watching. Um, and the action scenes, I would give a 5, frankly, but there's other parts.
yeah, yeah. I think for myself, my while I think the length, the ending, um, all those factors do detract for me. And and as you said, for all that I liked that it gave it room to breathe, maybe you could have gotten to know some of the characters a little better before you jumped straight into the storyline. Despite all that, I was just so engrossed, so taken into the way that it was staged and the way that it was done, that for me, I'm still going to say it's a 4.5.
Excellent.
I just really found it um, uh, quite engaging. So anyway, I think that's our thoughts on Furiosa. So thank
Bye.
you for watching Slice of Sci-Fi.
Slice of Sci-Fi.